So the other day, my husband and I were discussing the upcoming holidays, and as we chatted about it, I could feel my stress levels going up, up, up as I thought about children's gift lists and getting presents and Christmas baking. But then I took a deep breath and I reminded myself that as a therapist, I know of ways to keep the holiday season manageable without overwhelm. So in today's video, I'm going to share with you 8 tips to manage family stress and survive the holidays. If you are new here, welcome. And for returning visitors, thank you for coming back. My name is Elizabeth Ritchie. I'm a registered clinical counselor and certified life coach. And for many years, I've worked with hundreds of individuals and couples, helping them bust through blocks that are preventing them from leading their most fulfilled and joyous lives. Before we get going today, hit that notification bell and subscribe to my channel, and then you will be in the know for when my next video on thriving in your family, in your relationship, and in your life comes out. The holiday season can end up being overwhelming and stressful if we don't get out ahead of it. And what we're looking for is peace and goodwill as opposed to overwhelm and debt, right? So in today's video, I'm going to share 8 different techniques that will help you manage family stress. And I'm going to talk about the one thing that I think we all need to keep in mind when we're going through this holiday season, and something we absolutely do not want to miss out. So stay tuned to the end so you can see what that 8th and most important thing is. So tip number 1, I touched on before, and that is get out ahead of it. Have a list. Do some pre-planning of the things that you really want to experience this holiday season. Think about how you want it to flow. So for me, I think about non-negotiables like my annual dinner and drinks with friends, or making Christmas cake with my mom. I've been caught out a few years with doing wrapping at the last minute, so I want to get out ahead with it with my wrapping and wrap some of those gifts well ahead of time, listening to Christmas music, so I'm not staying up till 2 a.m. on Christmas Eve doing it. So think about those kind of things, the absolute essentials that you want for the holiday season, and then schedule it in. And the same goes for your partner or children. If you have them, kids, ask them, what do they want the holidays to be about? What do they want to experience on the holidays? Do they want to go maybe snowshoeing? Do they just want to chill and go and watch a movie, or have time to read a book and listen to Christmas music by the fire? Get everybody's input, write it all down, pick the top priorities, and schedule it. Tip number 2, one of my favorites and something I do throughout the year. Leave blank space in your calendar. Take a look at your calendar and ensure that you do not have it filled up chock-a-block from now until Christmas. Make sure you leave time for yourself, because that is time for self-care. Maybe you just have a day where it's just resting. Maybe it's a day where you can do something spontaneous that you hadn't planned. It's however you feel in that moment. So leave that blank space on the calendar. Okay, tip number 3, create a budget. We all know that spending can get out of whack during the holidays. And if you create a budget and think about who you're buying for and how much you want to spend, and you stick to that budget, you will not end up with a nasty credit card bill come the new year. So create a budget. I'd be curious to know how many of you have created budgets for the holidays in the past, and if so, have you stuck to it? Has it worked? Please share in the comment section below. Tip number 4, you want to prepare for those family gatherings. Now, family gatherings, we all wish that they could always be joyous and fun-filled, but oftentimes they're a bit awkward or filled with some tension. And, we're getting together with people that maybe we don't see all year. There's different personalities at play. Some people like to talk about more inflammatory topics like religion or, current events or politics. And so what you want to do is get out ahead of it. And you want to respond as opposed to react. So let's say you have Uncle Jimmy who who always wants to talk politics and drag you into discussions and you guys have opposing views, then what you want to do is prepare for it. And you could almost make a game of it. So you could even write down on a little piece of paper before the gathering, before the party, write down Uncle Jimmy, talk about politics. Cousin Gail's going to bring up religion. And you could have that written down, and then as you go and you can share that with your partner if you have a partner, or just keep it to yourself in your purse or pocket. And then when you go into the party, you can see how long does it take before Uncle Jimmy brings up politics, or how long does it take Cousin Gail to kind of get into a conversation with you and try to trigger you because you have opposing views on something. And you can go off to the bathroom and excuse yourself and take a moment and then just check it off your list. And that way what you're doing is you're preparing for the gathering, you're putting distance between yourself and those kind of situations, you're giving yourself breathing room, and you are responding as opposed to reacting. Tip number 5, indulge moderately in alcohol and all the rich foods of the holiday season. And if you can, keep up your regular exercise program through the holidays. So we know that alcohol can, cause problems. If we're talking about an office Christmas party where you drink too much and then you do something you regret, or these family gatherings that sometimes where there's tension, alcohol can make things worse. And alcohol is also a depressant, so it can leave you feeling a lot worse the next day. And then we have all the rich foods that come with the holiday season. And you can end up just feeling really sluggish and, unmotivated and just not well. So if you can keep up a regular exercise program, burn off stress and anxiety through exercise. If you can't exercise for health reasons, then having some sort of meditation or mindfulness program also works. And just watch out for overindulging in alcohol and those rich foods. All right, tip number 6. Tip number 6 really has everything to do with self-care. And that is say no to anything that doesn't light you up. Now, I know that there's some, situations or events that are going on that it's hard to get out of for the holiday season, and that maybe you feel obligated to go, but really take a hard look at them and see which ones can you eliminate, which ones can you say no to. Because when you say no to events that don't light you up, don't make you feel good, or they leave you feeling resentful or drained or spent, or you've spent too much money, then those things, those types of behaviors and activities, you're actually really saying no to yourself. So when you say no to those things you don't want to do, you're saying yes to yourself. You have good boundaries in place, and you're practicing good self-care. Tip number 7, we're almost there. Tip number 7 is embrace good enough and say goodbye to perfection. We all see those magazine spreads with beautifully wrapped Christmas presents and a beautifully decorated, Christmas tree or front door. And we sometimes put pressure, without even knowing it, we put pressure on ourselves to, recreate these beautiful scenes. Or we wonder why our gingerbread angels just look like lumps, and then we get upset. Really look at embracing good enough and doing things that you really want to enjoy and you want to do, and giving yourself a pat on the back for attempting them, whether that's snowshoeing or baking cookies or going out for cocktails with friends, which you hadn't done before. So give yourself a pat on the back and embrace good enough and say goodbye to perfection, because there is no such thing as perfection. And it's an added stress that we just don't need during the holiday season. All right, we made it. Number 8. My number 8 holiday tip is consider your connections. And I talked about at the beginning of the video, the one thing that I thought was a very important factor in making the holidays the way we want it to be. And that is our connections with others throughout the holidays, and our connection with ourselves. So, staying connected and recognizing what we need as a person to practice self-care, and if we need rest and not overscheduling, and also our connections with the people we want to see. So what are our priorities there? And I had mentioned, meeting friends for drinks and dinners, making sure I spend time with my mom doing some baking. So those kind of connections with each others that really make the holiday season what it is. And for some individuals and some people, you know, the holidays can be a tough time of year, and maybe they don't have that many connections. And if that is the case with you, then consider, you know, do you feel up to connecting to others? Are there friends that you could call and see if somebody wants to see a movie with you over the holidays? Or could you help out somewhere in a volunteer capacity and help somebody else who may be feeling isolated? So really consider your quality of your connections with everybody else in your family and your friends, and the connection with yourself, and see that those connections are where you want them to be. That is tip number 8. Okay, I've just shared 8 tips with you to help you manage family stress and survive the holiday season. So you've got some good tools in your tool belt, but if you're still feeling somewhat anxious or overwhelmed and just maybe in need of more support, feel free to reach out to my team at support@elizabethritchie.com and ask us how I may be of service to you and may be able to support you through a challenging time. If you got good value from today's video, hit that notification bell, subscribe to my channel, and give the video a like, and we will see you again soon.